So how do you implement PWA, right? I think, so again, within the context of commerce, when we are talking about implementing PWA for your e-commerce website, the first step is that, the design process has to be slightly different. It's not like, you take your existing website and replicate it and then you are on PWA, right? So a lot of different, different things that you want to consider. You want to consider the user experience, the interactions that the user has with your PWA, with your web app, and how the system is responding back, right? You have to think about, again, yes, it's API driven. We talked about, communicating with APIs and so on, but you also want to make sure that you're not making it, extremely chatty, right? So the more API calls that you're making back to the server, again, you're facing the same challenges and the same problem, and things are slow. So you have to consider how much data you're bringing, what kind of data you're bringing, what data you're storing, right? So once you've gone through and figured out how to, let's say you work with a creative services team, let's say Richard Parr and his team, to figure out what your user experience is going to look like and the user interface is going to look like. You then bring that in, and you can start with PWA Studio and start from scratch. And it already has a lot of the base components that are needed to build your application. And that's a long process. It's an expensive process, right? So what we have been doing over the last 6 months is to build our own libraries, right? So back in the day, when you install Adobe or Magento or BigCommerce, you have the entire fully functional site. You're only tweaking certain components to make it look like things and look like this and so on. But now when it comes to PWA, how does search work? You're making different calls to different systems, right? So banner management, right? So where is the content coming from? You're making calls to the server to pull down the banners. So each of these are modules that you're building, right? So we built all these reusable components over the last 6 months, which we are providing to our customers. So it's not like we're starting from scratch. And then you want all these additional features, right? So if you're talking about comparing the products, right? You need to make sure that you're making the API calls to get the data. You're building the presentation layer about how it's presented on the screen, how it interacts with the screen, and so on. So banner management is a module. Product comparison is a module, right? And the product gallery is a module that you need to build. So these are all components that you've built. So you want to work with a partner that has this expertise and these components already present, because that reduces your development time, reduces your cost significantly, and so on. Yes, PWA is important. You want to get to the market quickly. You want to be one of the first customers that's adopting this new technology and adding value and stand out from the crowd and compete with with the competition in a better way. So you want to get it out faster. So you want these pre-built components that you can actually deploy quickly, right? So yeah, I think what would be good would be to in one of our sessions we can actually talk about all the different components that we've built, what's available out there. Things that talk to the live search, things that talk to the fraud components, the checkout process, payment gateways that we support, right? It's not like traditional things where your payment gateways are supported by default, right? The interactions are different for, let's say, a PayPal-based checkout, or a traditional credit card checkout, or a buy now, pay later option, or store locators, buy online, pick up in store. There are all these different components that you have to plan for. The best part about this is that your front end, once you build, let's say, a PWA-based front end, you can replace your backend, right? It does not matter. If you're on PWA, it doesn't matter whether you're on Adobe, whether you're on BigCommerce, whether you're on Shopify, and so on, because at the end of the day, these are all e-commerce systems. They provide the functionality of a shopping cart, of pricing management, rules management, and so on, and a checkout process, right? And integration with payment gateways and so on. When you're on PWA, the backend really doesn't matter, because you built your front end. Now, as long as you have a system that supports similar APIs, all you're doing is replacing this API call to Adobe with BigCommerce, or vice versa, right? So same thing. So you can either change your backend system, or you can change your front end system, because you're truly decoupling the front end from the back end. So that's what I meant earlier when I said traditionally you've had e-commerce systems have been monolithic, right? So everything is integrated. Your front end, back end, everything is integrated. You have to deal with upgrades, and if the platform change is a big deal, now you can work on the specific portions of your infrastructure that you want to improve on.